So I'm always learning. It's always a pleasure to be able to get the kinds of experiences that each of us bring to the table. Because you were listening to music earlier on, and right away, boom, there was only just a couple measures of music, and you said, oh, you know, that sounded like, who was it that the saxophone player you just talked about was playing?
Train, yeah.
That's Train. And I'm still leaning in, trying to pick up some nuances to say, oh yeah, I agree, that's Train. But you hit it right away. That's amazing.
That's a school that many of us went through as students of this music. You know, who is that? You know, in 3 notes.
Yeah.
You know, who is that? You know, identify who
Yeah.
that is. Who's the bass player on that? And you know, that's something that I think that we have to keep on the front burner in today's world, because too many people are involved with whoever the name is that is on the record, or whoever the name is that's at doing the show, but they don't know anything about the personnel that's making this music with that name. And that's always been, you know, a thing in my community where, you know, we we challenge each other over the internet now. You understand? You know, who is that? What tune is that? You know what I mean? You know, bring that up, and you know, get people to understand that what they hear and love and appreciate is not just a Miles Davis playing, you know, by himself, but it's a group that's making that whole sound that you like.
That's right.
You know, and you know, learn to know who those people are.
That's right.
You know, because next thing you know, the piano player, the bass player, the drummer, one of them jump out as a lead, and you don't even know who that is.
That's true.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
But thank God for the recordings. You continue to keep
no doubt.
them and learn from them, and some of the things that I remember. I cut my teeth on Sing, Sing, Sing.
Okay.
Benny Goodman.
Yeah, but Gene Krupa's big solo.
Gene Krupa's big solo, and Harry James's big solo.
Right.
And that's where I was when I was quite young. But I listened, and then I discovered a Stan Kenton big band.
Right.
And all that was going on in there, and I would be able to Vito Musso.
The big baritone player.
Baritone. And I could sing all the solos of all the tunes, and then I began to realize, and as I said earlier, I found down in the corner of the radio a station where music, and these musicians are playing different to what I was accustomed to, and I started listening to them. That to me was the beginning for me, and it set me on a path that you really had to appreciate listening and absorbing. It's like going to a smorgasbord and saying, oh, I don't like that, but you didn't taste it. Taste it first and see what you think. And it just was a total exposure for me that I had never experienced before, and it felt good. And it felt good.
Doubt, My teeth was cut on that cold because my mother had me taking piano lessons when I was a kid. I never did learn how to read because I was too busy wanting to go out and play ball and stuff with the rest of the kids. But we had always had records around the house. To me, he was the most fantastic piano player in the world. He still is to me. And that made me want to really be a musician. I couldn't be the piano player. So I said, I got to find something else. So I got into the drums. Taught myself how to do that. And my crowning thing was when I went overseas and I met Kenny Clark and Bud Powell. And I had a chance to play with Bud Powell and Pierre Michelot. And the dude played, Bobby Jasper played saxophone, and some of them guys come through, Brew Moore and different guys come through. I had a chance to sit in and play with these cats. And when I got back to the States, I wasn't scared of nobody. I said, I'm here, man.
Ready.
Some cats would say, "Oh, I don't like the way you hold your stick, so I don't like this stuff." I said, "This is me, man. This is the way I'm gonna do it, because I can't be nobody else but me."
But you, yeah.
But yeah, Nat Cole, man, talking about a piano player.
Yeah.
And Bud Powell told me, they were sitting around talking about who influenced who and all that, right? And it amazed me when Bud come out of Bud's mouth. Bud said, "Well, Nat Cole was my major influence." I said, "What?" You know. And he explained it. He said, "Man, this cat was the cat who you know, like brought it from the Heinz thing into to what I'm doing."
Yeah.
He said, because he wouldn't be on Heinz. He said he was right where I'm at now. He just didn't stay there. He wanted to make that money singing and stuff, you know.
Yeah, well, that, I believe, is the essence of what we do in this music. In other words, you play trumpet, or you like a trumpet, and you know, you start working out at it, and you hear a trumpet player that does something that impresses you, and so you elaborate, you try to internalize that experience, and you bring your experience to it.
Right.
You see, and so, you know, I think that's a unique way that we as Africans in the world learn things. You know, we don't necessarily learn by, you know, by rote. You know, we learn by having an experience that is internal. And then we express ourselves, you know, to another level on that same, you know, thing. So, you know, I mean, when we hear, like you said, Bud Powell listening to Nat Cole, you don't necessarily hear the same thing.
No.
You understand? You hear something else.
Right.
You hear Bud Powell.
But you can hear that Nat Cole influence.
Yeah, you know, if you go into it, you know, you see, you know. But I mean, many artists I've come to know over the years, you know, they come from that experience. You know, you were talking about Louis Armstrong earlier, and I had opportunity to talk with John Hendricks, and he met John Hendricks when he was about 9 years old.
Oh, really?
He was a tap dancer, and he used to tap outside of a club in Toledo, and Mr. Armstrong and the gang came in to play. And so the club owner used John Hendricks as an opening act for, you know, he used to tap outside the club, but the night that Louis Armstrong came, you know, because of the crowd and everything, you know, he said, "Well, come on in here and do a little shuffle for the folks before Mr. Armstrong come on."
Isn't it
So Mr. Armstrong checked him out and told him to meet him the next day, and they went for a long walk and basically taught him everything he's been interpreting since then.
Wow.
You know, from the experience that he had.
Yeah.
You know, so
So Louis put his boots on.
yeah.
That's
He's
amazing.
9 years old.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's
9
amazing.
years old.
Ooh, that's
You know, coming from a family that we know around here in Pittsburgh, I'm always amazed to hear about, you know, the numbers of people in families here. So, you know, having 10 siblings
Yeah.
is,
Right,
you know,
right.
a common thing. And, you know, John Hendricks was one of those.
One of those,
you know,
yeah.
there were 11 siblings in his
Yeah,
family,
really,
you understand?
really.
So at 9 years old, you understand, he was doing a little scrapple from the apple, you know?
Yeah.
You know, trying to get a quarter here and there. So that's why he was out on the corner, you know, tapping.
So I remember when he had his family, I was living up in New York at the time. I was living down in the Village. There was a club down there called Harper's down there on the Avenue of the Americas. Used to be where Trudy Ellis used to be in that area. And he was there with his family. And I went in there one night and I met John Hendricks. And he had some kids in his family. But
Yeah, his wife and his daughter sing.
Yeah. He's a real nice gentleman, man. Talked to him for a while,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. So, you know.
Yeah, John. Ooh, boy, he's a very talented cat, man. Think of all that stuff he was writing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I asked him about Freddie Freeloader.
Yeah.
And I said, how long will it take you to write Freddie Freeloaded? He said, about 10 minutes.
Is that right? Is that right?
Go
Is
figure.
that right?
He said, about 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
I tell you, he was an icon over there in France when I was over there because, you know, he had the Labyrinth and Hendrix and Ross, right?
Right.
But they had a group over there they called the Double Six, the Double Six.
The
of
double
Paris.
six of Paris.
And they were trying to be just the total copy
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
of them. And you hear them talking about, oh, Johnny Hendrix, oh, you know.
Yeah?
Yeah, he was known, man.
So, you know, that learning and duplicating and copying
Yeah,
has
yeah.
been going on and it's going to continue to go on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so we just have to continue to put out the best of ourselves.
That's true.
So, because we never know who's picking up on this.
That's true.
I would just
So
like
true.
for us to be able to reap the residuals of our talent.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
don't let it be an offshoot for somebody else to get rich off of. We're supposed to,
yeah,
you know, realize
profit from our own.
Mhm.
So it's not just the performance aspect, it's the business
There you go.
aspect,
That's right.
of all of this, and that's another area in which you're starting to see more and more young people becoming involved because they clearly understand.
That's true.
You know, a lot of people say it's about the money. Well, that's part of it. Yeah, you know, you want to do the best you can with your craft, but what good is your craft, and who's going to see it if you don't know how to do the business?
This is true too. Yeah.
So
No.
that's definitely an important part. You were speaking of your experiences in was it in France?
Yeah.
And I'm just curious, how were you accepted as a musician from America, and what was your influence? Who influenced you in terms of your experiences in France? What was the music like there?
Well, it was like New York, just about. You know.
Really?
Yeah, you had clubs like the Shacky Patch, the Cats and the Fishes, and you had the other one, the Blue Note was down on Rue Artois, and you had what was that? The club Morris Cafe, which was a big club. And that, before I left there, some girl from Cleveland, Nancy Holloway, had taken it over. It was called Chez Nancy Holloway.
Really?
But it was a lot of jazz in Paris. These are just some of the names places, you know. And you see people like Dexter and them guys, they come
Dexter,
through, and
yeah.
you know, they were all coming through. And I had a chance to, I felt like I was just in New York, man, sometimes.
Really?
Yeah, because the music was there.
But the respect for the music
Respect for the music was very high.
by the French.
The French, yeah. But the only thing about that, if you came over there, you had to hire a certain amount of French musicians
To be able
in
to,
order to stay for a while. See, you could come in for maybe a week or so if you just headline. But if you stayed any length of time, you had to supplement that group with French
with French
musicians.
musicians.
So I remember one night, Sacha Distel came in. He was a nice guitar player. He came in and played with. I had a chance to sit behind him with Bud, and Bud said he didn't care too much for the cats playing. You know, I said, oh, they sounded good to me. I didn't say too much. Hey, man, I'm just a kid
Yeah.
trying to learn.
Yeah.
When those guys, when the grown-ups talk, I cut my mouth shut.
There you go. There you
Yeah, but yeah, a lot of times, Pierre Michelolo, he was a great bassist.
Love that
man.
guy.
Oh, yeah. And there was some other French cats I thought a lot of, you know. Bernard Pfeiffer, I think he was from over in Belgium, the piano player. I thought he played a lot like Earl Garner.
Mm-hmm.
Did you meet Marshall Solal?
No, I don't think so. No, let me see who else.
Yeah, that's somebody I came to know like in the 60s.
Okay,
You know.
yeah. Well, I left in 62, beginning of 62, I was out of there.
Oh, okay.
I got there in 60 and I left out in 62. But,
Well, gentlemen, thank you very much for
Thank you.
bringing some light to the scene.
thank you, Brother Miss.
You know, telling your stories, and let's pray that we can do this again.
Continue to
sometime
do
in the
this.
future.
Yeah. To be continued.
Absolutely.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
This is
moments.
great.
All right, brother.
All right.